This is not something that Toronto Blue Jay fans were expecting coming into the season. And no, I'm not talking about their record. I'm talking about one particular individual that has stood out offensively, that is basically keeping this team alive with his massive hits and big time power. So we'll break that down and much more coming up on this episode of 3 Up, 3 Down. Welcome in, everybody, to 3 Up, 3 Down. I'm your host, Peter Vryonis. Before we get into the video, talking about one of the amazing performers on the Toronto Blue Jays, make sure to hit that subscribe button because a large percentage of you who are watching these videos aren't subbed to the channel. But I wanted to get to this, and the Blue Jays won a tough game yesterday, a gutted-out sort of performance against arguably the best pitcher of my generation, which is Jacob deGrom. And the catalyst behind that victory was none other than Daulton Varsho, who has only played a handful of games, has missed a ton of games with a shoulder injury. He's clearly still not 100% because his arm is just not there. I mean, he never was one to have a cannon in center field or in left field, wherever he would be playing, but his arm strength is noticeably less than it was in years past, so hopefully he can sort that out, but his glove is still second to none out there. Maybe Pete Crow Armstrong is making the case for being the best defensive center fielder or best defender in the sport right now, but Daulton Varsho is definitely up there. But one thing that has been sort of how do I say this here? Sort of up and down over the course of his Toronto Blue Jays tenure has been his offense. Now, if you look at his stats, you probably won't be very impressed because his average is sitting at around 200. His OPS is 840, which is really good, but his on-base percentage is not good. It's around the 240-ish mark. So he's got a lot of things to work on, and he's never going to be a guy who hits 300 for you, who is consistently your best hitter. That's just not who Daulton Varsho is. He plays platinum glove level defense in center field, and he's going to run into 20 to 25 home runs. But one thing that he is doing at an elite level right now for the Blue Jays is hitting the ball out of the ballpark. For a team that struggles to hit home runs, he is leading the team despite playing half of the games that a lot of the other players have played up until this point of the season. So he missed a good chunk of time, but now he's back, and he has been a force in the middle of that Blue Jay lineup. So I mentioned that Dalton Varsho is a flawed hitter, and there's no doubt about that. He's batting .218, an on-base percentage of 241. I mean, it's not perfect. It's definitely not perfect. But for a team that needs power, I'm okay with him striking out 26 times in 20 games. I'm okay with him trying to chase home runs and extra base hits and maybe leaving a little bit of contact on the table. Like the Jays don't need him to hit 300. They have a few guys that are going to be around that mark towards the end of the season. And, of course, talking about Vladdy and Bo, who are really solid contact hitters. You'd love to see more power out of Vladdy, who I think is going to start to come around soon with his power stroke, and more power out of Bo, who, is not necessarily a big-time power hitter, but instead of home runs, you'll take a lot of doubles. He hits a lot of doubles, and you will take that out of Bo. So the Blue Jays have their fair share of guys that are going to be hovering around the 280 to 300 mark in terms of average, but they don't really have pure power hitters besides Anthony Santander and Daulton Varsho, who I'll throw in that mix. Now, Santander has started off really slowly. He was hitting third for the majority of the season. He's now dropped down to sixth, sort of in the bottom of that middle of the order, but that's okay. I'm sure he's going to find his stroke. He's a guy who had 44 home runs last year for the Orioles. So there are some players with pedigree and some big-time names that have been there, done that before for the Blue Jays, and Daulton Varsho is one of them. He's hit 27 home runs in a season before with Arizona. He's a consistent 20-homer guy, and the Blue Jays need him to hit that mark yet again, if not maybe exceed that mark despite playing less games. So it's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds for Toronto, but one thing is for sure, Daulton Varsho has been on fire right now with his power stroke, slugging percentage over 600, not sustainable for the rest of the season unless you're Aaron Judge. But right now, the Blue Jays desperately needed some power, and Daulton Varsho has been delivering, and his latest blow was last night off a slider from Jacob deGrom. You don't often hear a Jacob deGrom slider get driven out of the ballpark, but that was a no-doubter by Varsho, and another good swing to add to his team-leading 8 home runs. So a nice sight to see if you're a Blue Jay fan, but you'd like to see some more power out of some of the guys that have been there all season long. But that'll wrap it up for this episode of 3 Up, 3 Down. Thank you all so much for making it this far, and I will see you all tomorrow.